What if the reason you and your partner struggle with money isn't miscommunication or bad habits, but the budgeting app you're using? Well, I tested Monarch Money, one of the top-rated tools built specifically for couples, and what I found might completely change how you manage money altogether. Let me show you. But actually, before I got too deep into my own experience with this couples budgeting app itself and all the features and all the things I actually did what I always do when testing a new budgeting app. I actually went straight down to the user reviews. And not like the 5-star raving reviews with all those compliments. I actually hunted down the complaints, the bugs, the 1-star frustrations. Because let's be honest, if something's gonna break, that's where it usually shows up first, and you'll want to know, right? So I came across the review of a user who said that he loved logging in every day, enjoyed customizing his account, and actually looked forward to seeing his spending data laid out visually. But then, he still felt like the $100 price point was a bit steep, especially since he only used a few core features like cash flow and transaction tracking. And his suggestion, offer a lighter tier with fewer features. And honestly, I kind of get where he's coming from. That's a nice suggestion. If you're only using 20% of the platform, paying full price might sting. But here's what I realized. Monarch Money wasn't really designed for the casual budget checker. It's for couples who want the full picture, a collaborative dashboard, investment visibility, future planning, the whole works. Now, on the flip side of the user feedback, a lot of users here are actually really practically fanatical about Monarch and have a lot of good things to say about it. One reviewer shared how Monarch became the centerpiece of their first serious budgeting effort as a couple. After a full year of using this couple budgeting app, they weren't just impressed, they were actually excited to see their renewal hit. Their only real feedback? They wanted a year-end Spotify Wrapped style recap to celebrate their progress. All right. Another user mentioned that they'd tried everything, a Copilot, Simplify, Personal Capital, Budget Bakers, and Monarch was the only couples budget app that they renewed. They said it was clearly built for power users who want to do more than just categorize expenses. And after testing out that app myself, I think I totally agree. It gives you the tools to not just track your finances, but actually understand and improve them. So, what is it that makes Monarch Money feel different from every other budgeting app for couples out there? Well, let's start with, I think, what is the big one. Monarch Money for couples is this completely separate thing. It makes itself unique from the competition by a few different things. So most budget apps for couples just assume like there's one user managing all the finances and that, maybe there's someone else who pops in every once in a while. But Monarch flips that idea. You and your partner both get your own logins, but you share a single financial dashboard. Same view, same budget, full transparency. And what blew me away was how smoothly this works. My partner and I can each sync our own accounts, add transactions, and even personalize our own unique notifications. But no matter who adds what, the shared view always just stays up to date with all that new information. It's collaborative without being confusing, which, let's be real, is a lifesaver when you're trying to coordinate rent, groceries, student loans, and all those extra expenses all in this one place. Now, here's something that I think doesn't really get talked about enough, and that's transferring your balance and transaction history when you actually switch banks or data providers. So I had an issue with my old American Express connection, but Monarch made it insanely easy to just move all that history over to a new connection. No starting over, no lost data, thankfully, just a smooth switch. Compare that to some other budgeting app for couples alternatives like Empower or Copilot, where syncing can be a pain, and you often have to reconnect accounts manually or you lose past data, but Monarch's transfer feature saved me hours and didn't lose any of my data. Then there's the budgeting tool itself, right? Monarch offers two modes here. There's category and flex budgeting. I started with category, assigning amounts to groceries, rent, eating out, etc. Super familiar, but then I tried flex budgeting and everything changed. Instead of obsessing over each single line item, I tracked all my flexible spending as one high-level bucket. Way less pressure, especially in months where, the dog eats your shoes or your car decides to explode, right? And all of that ties into cash flow tracking. Monarch lets you visualize income versus expenses in real time, and not just by category. You can sort by merchant, you can sort by tag, even timeline. I checked our savings rate over the last 3 months or so, and I finally understood where our extra money was disappearing. It's not me. Then there are reports. So think of these as your financial x-rays, charts, graphs, trends. You get a real snapshot of how you're spending, saving, and earning. So I use this feature weekly to see where we're drifting off course and where we are in our goals. And honestly, that's kind of addicting. Like watching your grocery spending drop 15% month over month, that's the kind of feedback that turns budgeting from a chore into a challenge to eat healthy and save money. So recurring expenses and bills are also tracked. Monarch scans your synced transactions to automatically detect subscriptions and their due dates. I caught a duplicate charge for a subscription that I thought I had canceled months ago, so one of those sneaky little charges that kind of hides in your statements as a double tap and you don't really notice it. Monarch flagged it instantly, and I saved that money. And one more thing I didn't expect to love was the manual investment holding features. I was able to input every holding that wasn't auto-synced, including smaller assets and accounts that didn't sync properly. Not too often, but it happens. Monarch then calculated the totals in real time alongside the rest of our finances. So that level of control, priceless. Then there are the newer features like the credit score tracking and full iPad support. And let me say, using Monarch on an iPad, that screen real estate changes everything. Budgeting on the go on your phone is not as good as this, and with the iPad, it doesn't feel like a compromise anymore. So all these features come together to make Monarch Money, I think, more than any other budget tracker. It's the best budgeting app for couples who want clarity, control, and a smarter way to handle money. And compared to competitors like Copilot, which is sleek but is single user focused, or Empower, which leans hard into retirement planning for higher net worth users, Monarch strikes a balance. It's customizable like a spreadsheet, collaborative like a shared doc, and powerful enough for people who want to build a real financial future together. Now, is Monarch Money perfect? No, not exactly. I'll be real. When I first logged in, I felt like I had to learn the couple's budget platform from scratch and just spend tons of time just learning all this. There's a lot of tools, a lot of menus. It's not overwhelming in necessarily a bad way, but if you're someone who wants to just plug in and go, you might find the initial setup a bit much. But after like 4 to 5 hours of poking around, something clicked. I realized all those extra tools were actually what made it so flexible, and I could get them if I needed them. And now I can't imagine budgeting with any other way. So yeah, it's not one of those minimalist budgeting tools for couples with, a couple of charts and a smiley face. But if you want depth and collaboration, the learning curve is totally worth it. Now, when it comes to cost, Monarch isn't going to be the cheapest budget tool for couples out there. It might be a little high for people who, only check their finances once in a while and don't want that deep level of involvement. But if you're using it to actually manage your finances as a couple and you have different income, expenses, I really think the value makes sense. Think of it this way. One missed bill or a duplicated subscription can cost you way more than Monarch does for the entire year. And with how much clarity that it gave us in our spending habits, I'd say it actually saved us money within the first month even. So if you want to check that out, check the link in the description for their current pricing plans, their promos, or any discounts they have going on. I keep that updated as they change. But for what it offers, and especially if you're looking for the best budgeting tools for couples, it's priced reasonably for what you get. If you've been stuck switching between half-baked tools and you still feel disconnected from your partner's financial picture, Monarch Money might be what finally just brings it all together. It's powerful, it's collaborative, and it genuinely changed the way that we approach our money as a couple. Check the link in the description of this video to get started with our special discount and coupon and see what it feels like to be in sync with your partner and your money.